For years, I've been obsessed with the FNAF lore just like you. I have spent countless hours digging through the game, analyzing every detail and reading every book, and along the way I started noticing things that other people missed, connections that are never talked about. So today, I'm going to share some of my biggest discoveries with you. We are going to break down the real truth behind Golden Freddy, the shadow animatronics, and other mysteries that have been confusing us all. Starting with what is the truth behind Golden Freddy and Shadow Figures. Golden Freddy and the Shadow Figures, one of the biggest mysteries in the game. For several years, people thought Golden Freddy was just an spring-locked suit left in the back room of pizzeria. This was a popular idea because he always looked slumped over and was never seen in any of the restaurant's advertisement. But look at how Golden Freddy acts in the game. He is the only one who can teleport right into your office. Scott Cawthon even said he didn't want the animatronic to be able to teleport because it breaks the illusion of the game. So his strange behavior makes us wonder if he really just a simple broken animatronic. There's a popular idea about Golden Freddy called the Golden Boy theory. This theory suggests that Golden Freddy is the combination of two spirits. The first one is the fifth victim of the missing child incident. The second is the crying child, also known as the bite victim from FNAF 4. Together, these two spirits found an old Golden Fredbear suit. They both went inside it, and that's how Golden Freddy was born. Ever since, they've been haunting the pizza places, looking for revenge against the man who hurt them, William Afton. In the new pizzeria, Golden Freddy looks just like the new Freddy, but he was golden and broken. Some people believe that he was the animatronic who killed the phone guy, as you can hear his roar right before the calls end. Moreover, he doesn't come looking for you. Instead, he might appear on a poster of Freddy. You can clearly hear a child's giggle. Suddenly, he appears right in your office, scaring you with a message. Imagine the end of a long, difficult night. You faced all the scary animatronics and won, but then a final scene appears. It's Golden Freddy. He's not in his broken down form, but his original full form from the first game. He's all alone in a pitch black room, twitching and shaking without stopping. He seems to be trapped in this endless darkness. For confirmation that Golden Freddy is really a spring-locked suit, we must take a look at the possibilities here. He always scrambled on the floor, and this looks just the way the empty Springtrap suit is sitting in one of the minigames, even though the spring-locked suit were taken out of service a long time ago. So maybe Golden Freddy is just the ghost of an old broken suit. You can only find a special version of Fredbear by using a that coin on Golden Freddy. This might be a hint that Golden Freddy was a Fredbear spring-locked suit all along. However, some people don't agree. They point out that Golden Freddy has only 4 fingers, which would be very strange for a suit a person was supposed to wear. Springtrap, for example, has 5 fingers. Now, who are the shadow animatronics? In the world of Freddy Fazbear, some animatronics are more mysterious than others. Shadow Bonnie and Shadow Freddy first appear in the second game, but they didn't become important until the third one. These two shadows characters plays big parts in the minigame. Shadow Freddy's help the player in the minigame at the end of each night, while Shadow Bonnie has a role in helping the player get the good ending. But who are these strange dark versions of Freddy and Bonnie, and what do they really want? Their true story remains a mystery waiting to be uncovered. Shadow Freddy first showed up as a secret in second game, appearing rarely in the parts and service room. He looked just like the broken down Golden Freddy, but was deep purple color with big white eyes. However, his most important role was in the minigame of that same game. He was seen luring Freddy, Bonnie, Chia, and Foxy in the back room. There, William Afton could destroy them. After the animatronics were destroyed, their souls rose up and trapped William Afton in a suit. Because the building was wet from rain, the suit snapped shut on him, ending his evil plans. Shadow Freddy also appeared as a scary vision to the crying child in a minigame from the 4th game. This was the only time he was officially part of the main story. After that, he was never seen again. Theory. One theory maintains that these shadows are the ghosts of old employees you see on Night 4. Phone guy mentions that the accident happened at a different Freddy's station.
You can check inside those suits.
Some believe that the employees who died that day become the shadow animatronics. They think that these ghosts now try to help lost children because they feel guilty they couldn't save them from the killer. In one game, Shadow Bonnie even shows up when a player has too much bad energy, which is something Afton often uses. This makes people wonder if Shadow Bonnie is there to help or to hurt the player. One thing we know for sure is that the shadow animatronics were around even before the event of the second FNAF game. Even though they look spooky, the shadow animatronics actually try to help the lost souls of the children. In one game, Shadow Freddy tried to guide you toward the killer who is hiding in a safe room. In another game, Shadow Bonnie brings cake to a child who had been left out, a small act of kindness in a scary world. They are tools made of agony to be used by the dead. The shadows are real. We see them move and act in the world, especially in the mini games of FNAF 3. The shadows are connected to the very first animatronics, the ones that used to be at Fredbear's family dinner. Shadow Freddy is a dark version of Fredbear, who is a lot like Golden Freddy, and Shadow Bonnie is a shadow of Spring Bonnie, the very suit that later becomes Spring Trap. This is a very important clue because it tells that these shadows figures have been around since the beginning, since the first sad events happened at the restaurant. In conclusion, the most likely and chronological explanation from the shadow figures is that they are physical manifestations of agony. Shadow Freddy is a form of pure evil. He is like a dark ghost made from all the bad things that William Afton did. In the games, he doesn't help the lost ghost children. He tricks them. He lets them right into a trap, making sure they can't escape. Shadow Bunny, on the other hand, is a different kind of shadow. We are not completely sure what he is, but he was probably also born from agony and sadness. But in one of the minigames, he seems to be on the good side. He might be the opposite of Shadow Freddy, helping the main character find a happy ending. In a place called Circus Baby Pizza World, there was a beautiful ballerina named Ballora. She wasn't human but a special dancing robot known as a Funtime animatronic. However, William Afton paid her to perform on stage for the children. Ballora moved gracefully just like a real dancer. People who saw the trailer for the Five Nights at Freddy's sister location even got a sneak peek of her amazing performance. But Ballora had a dark secret. When the pizza place closed down, she became something else entirely. Her graceful movement turned from beautiful dances into something much more scary. There was more to Ballora than just dancing. She was known to be a calm and graceful robot, but she could also be very deadly. In addition to being a talented singer, another animatronic Circus Baby once said that Ballora never learns. This might mean that Ballora wasn't very good at pretending.
Is it time for the show?
Or maybe she couldn't do it as well as Baby could. According to the Ultimate Guide page 263, Ballora is a sound-activated ballerina animatronic with painted white skin, rosy cheeks, blue hair, and a purple tutu. She is often accompanied by many renas and has several unique capabilities. Her creation, however, wasn't easy. The man who made her said she was one of the hardest animatronic to design, right up there with Circus Baby. Scott also shared a secret about how Ballora moves when she isn't on her stage. While she normally glides along a track, once she leaves it, she uses her arms and legs to crawl around. In Five Nights at Freddy's special delivery, you can see her in action, scuttling at the player in a truly terrifying way. Another of Scott's statement, it means she either dancing gracefully or climbing the walls just like the animatronics Mangle. Unlike the other animatronics, Ballora is a mystery because she keeps her eyes closed. To stay safe, you have to move very slowly and quietly. But if she catches you, her face plates will open up in a terrifying jump scare, revealing her eyes for the first time. We see her purple eyes again on night 4 after she has been scoped. She was the only Funtime animatronics who was against the plan of using Michael Afton as a vessel to escape, as she believed it would never work. Ballora also seemed to enjoy being cruel. She even learned to tease and taunt the player, not caring what they thought about her.
Is someone there? I can hear someone creeping through my room. Perhaps not.
When you encounter her, unlike the others, you don't shock her. Instead, you have to be very quiet to avoid her. Watching the noise meter. As she moves, she plays a song called Crumbling Dreams. But if you face her special version, Arctic Ballora, she dances to a scary remix of Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Why was Ballora created? It turns out the beautiful dancing was just a disguise for her true evil purpose as part of William's plan. He designed her not just for entertainment but to kidnap and kill children. Her job was to capture the attention of the parents, especially their dads, with her graceful movements. While they watched her, the other animatronics would do their dark work of capturing and harming the children. This idea is even joked about in the game Ultimate Custom Night. It becomes really funny if you believe the theory that this game is a special kind of hell for William Afton. Even he, the villain, couldn't help but get distracted by Ballora's looks. She even says to him,
Admit it. You wanted to let me in.
it seems Ballora didn't really want to escape. Circus Baby even says that
She is afraid.
of the escape slam. It suggested that Baby actually hurt Ballora on purpose so she would be scooped
Ballora never learns, but I do.
along with the others. She didn't destroy her forever, but it did take her out of the fight for a while, so Ballora wasn't as evil as she appeared. Ballora hates noise and sudden movements.
Go slowly. She cannot see you and can only listen for your movement.
If you carefully listen to Ballora's songs, she's singing a soft nursery tune. The words are full of loneliness and sorrow. As she glides through the dark halls, she sings, but she stops singing if she hears a sound, listening for anyone who might be near. Later, she sings another more scary song. It's the same soft tune, but the words reveal her terrifying new purpose.
All I do is dance alone, but now I hear your flesh and bone.
When first time you see Ballora attack, she acts just like Mangle from the second game. But if you run out of power on the custom night, Ballora is the one who will always get you. She ends the game for you, even if she wasn't part of the night challenge. In this way, she acts just like Freddy from the very first game. In addition, in the scary custom night challenge, if you manage to survive against all the animatronics, something interesting happens. Ballora calmly praises you for your victory. Her last words to you are,
Save me a dance for another day, perhaps.
although after she is scooped, Ballora's part becomes the main component of Ennard. This monster uses her part along with those from other animatronics to hide inside Michael Afton's body to escape the building. But this isn't the end of her story. In the game Pizzeria Simulator, all of Ennard's part, including Ballora's, are finally burned. This fire frees the spirit of the children who were trapped inside the animatronics, giving Ballora and the others a final peaceful end. A big fan theory about Ballora's possession for 5 years after Sister Location and 4 years after Pizzeria Simulator. People still believe that Ballora is possessed by the spirit of William's wife. We just call her Clara as the most commonly used name for her due to a TV show in Sister Location. Before we get into why she isn't Ballora, let's look at why fans think she is. Actually comes from a few places. First, Ballora is a female robot which seems to care for Circus Baby. So is Ballora really possessed by Clara? Let's imagine for a moment that she is. If that's true, why would she try to hurt Michael Afton, her own son? Some people say that she's just as cruel as her husband, but there's no real proof for that idea. It's like calling William by the name Vincent before we knew his real name. While it's possible, but a good theory needs solid evidence, and for now we just don't have any to connect Clara to Ballora. Hold on, I know what you are thinking. You're probably saying, but what about the voice lines in the games like in FPS and SL? Well, let's think about that. The sound Ballora sings, I believe it was written by her voice actress, Michaela Moss. People have made this mistake before with other songs. Remember the FNAF 2 trailer? Some people thought that if you played the song backwards, it says Michael All. But that wasn't true at all. The creator Scott just thought the song sounded cool. Instead of just teleporting into a new place like the other animatronics Foxy runs. This might be because of a flaw in his sensors, which are highly sensitive to light and cause him to react aggressively when not being watched. Foxy also had a different kind of problem. While the other animatronics can be fooled by a Freddy mask, Foxy's sensors are broken. He can't tell the difference, so even if you are wearing a mask, he still thinks you are a threat. Because of how sensitive he is to light, flashing the flashlight at him can briefly stop stop him. He tries to avoid light and hide in Pirate Cove before he makes his run towards you. But why did he run? The game creator made him this way to be unique and scary. He was so fast that it was a shocking and exciting scare to meet him. The game also tells us he was out of order, which means he was old and broken. Maybe his broken body and programs couldn't do the same magic tricks as the other animatronics, thus can only execute a simple run command. This also explains why he is the only one who gets tired and uses up energy while attempting to enter the office. It was often said that Foxy didn't like being watched. People who played the game had two main ideas about it. Some believe you have to watch him all the time to keep him in place. Others thought you shouldn't look at him too much because it makes him angry. The truth is a little different, and it's a rare and very specific secret of the game. If you constantly check the cameras on Foxy, he does become more active, but it's not in the way people think. It's a strange and hidden rule that makes him unique. So the idea that he doesn't like being watched isn't a myth, it's just a misunderstood secret. When it comes to Foxy, there are a lot of stories about how he moves. Let's take a look at how he really works. Imagine Foxy is playing a game of hide and seek with you. Every 5 seconds he gets a chance to move closer, but Foxy has a secret trick. Whenever you raise your camera tablet to look around, he completely freezes. Even when you put the tablet back down, Foxy doesn't move right away. He stays still for a random amount of time. It could be a quick second or a very long 18 seconds. But as soon as he free again, he get a bonus move right away before his 5-second countdown even begins. This is how he can sometimes seems to move so fast. So what does this mean for us? It means that Foxy can actually become more active the more you use your cameras, but it only happens under special conditions. This would mean he gets a lot of short waiting periods in a row. You can pick your tablet right after his cooldown ends, and he succeeded at every chance to move. Although another case tells us that most players try to save power by not using their cameras too much. When they do this, Foxy just keep playing his normal game, trying to move every 5 seconds. But if you are very unlucky, Foxy's secret trick can backfire in a strange way. It's almost impossible, but if he gets 2 super short cooldowns in a row, he can seem to move faster than normal. This happens so rarely that most people will never see it, even if they play the game a lot. In conclusion, from a purely mechanical standpoint, Foxy runs to create a unique gameplay challenge and build tension. From a role perspective, the most widely accepted theory are that Foxy is either damaged and his programming is faulty, or that the running is a deliberate but also unique part of his attack patterns. Some fans also think the soul of a child inside him is making him rush to get help. Ultimately, without an official explanation from Scott, Foxy's running is a little bit of a fun game challenge and a little bit of a mystery we are all trying to solve. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Is that in the FNAF world, the scariest things aren't always what they seem. Sometimes the monsters are just as lost and broken as the ghosts. They are trying to help, and in a game full of secrets, the real challenge isn't surviving the night. It's figuring out the whole story. Stay sharp, keep looking for answers, and remember, some doors are locked for a reason.